Let's get reaction to all of this from a Democratic congressman. John Garamendi represents California's 8th District and is a senior member of the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
So, Congressman, as things stand, the ceasefire appears to be in a very fragile state today, following breaches on both sides. We've heard repeatedly this hour the president displaying his anger, calling on both sides, especially Israel, to return to the ceasefire. At this stage, Congressman, what chances do you see of this ceasefire holding?
Well, I think the ceasefire is the current step towards a solution to the nuclear arms situation in Iran. The president says that they have no ability to move forward. That's not clear. He may be ahead of the actual intelligence that's available. Bottom line is, Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. That's the bottom line. Now, how do we get there? The bunker buster bombs were a step along the way. The president may or may not be correct with regard to the obliteration of the Iran program. I think most people would say that the likelihood is that they still have the ability to continue to produce highly enriched uranium and to move towards a nuclear weapon. That brings us to the negotiations. If you think back on where we were in the 2014-15 period, Obama had, together with China and Russia and Europe, put together the Iran nuclear deal that really prevented Iran from ever putting together a nuclear weapon. Trump came into office, found that to be insufficient. He tore that agreement up, and Iran then immediately began to weaponize its uranium, that is, to increase from 5, 10, 15% to 60%, which is where they were before the current Israeli and American attack on those facilities. Now, going forward, where do we go? My sense of it is we need to go back to the negotiating table and make sure that a new deal is put together that prevents Iran from proceeding towards a nuclear weapon. That is of utmost importance. Beyond that, we need to understand that the entire situation in the Middle East has radically changed over the last 18 to 24 months. Hamas is basically eviscerated. Hezbollah is gone. There's a new government, hopefully, in Syria that will not be aligned with Iran. And so how do we move forward? And that's where the American diplomacy is of utmost importance.
In order to move forward, presumably you need to know where you stand. And one important outstanding question right now is how much damage those US strikes inflicted on Iran's nuclear program. The president and the vice president have continued to say the nuclear program has been obliterated. What do you know about where that stands? And have you received any damage assessments that would confirm that?
Well, back and forth. I would expect Trump and Vance to do exactly what they're doing, that is to beat their chest and say, oh my gosh, we did a terrific job. Remains to be seen whether it was obliterated or not. I think we're going to find out. I can give you my opinion, which is it wasn't obliterated. It was clearly deterred. It'll take some time for Iran to reconstitute its efforts if they decide to do so. And that's where a negotiation going back to the JCPOA or the Iran nuclear deal, making it better and going forward would be important. We just don't know. We're going to find out. We have a classified briefing for members of Congress in the Senate in a couple of hours. My assumption is we still will not know at that briefing. It's going to take a while to really understand.
Why would you still not know at that briefing? What more do you need in order to make that assessment?
Well, this is where the intelligence community does its work. First of all, we need to understand that 2 of these facilities were deep underground. Did the bunker busters really destroy the underground facilities? I think most people will say probably not. Did it cause sufficient damage that they cannot restart? We just don't know. And there were more than one facilities out there. It's very, very important that we have accurate information here. All of the boasting that is going on by the president in advance may be accurate, it may not be. Hopefully it is accurate. If it's not, well, then what do we do? And that's where a negotiation with Iran that would prevent them from moving forward, and also disposing of the 900 pounds, 400 kilos of 60% enriched uranium is removed. Keep in mind that that actually happened with the previous Obama. The highly enriched uranium that Iran had was removed from the country, outside the country. They did not have access to it. So perhaps we can go back to that piece of the puzzle.
And do you expect to learn in this briefing coming up where that enriched uranium has been moved to?
No, not at all. I don't expect it at all. I could probably get as much information watching your program as I can at this classified hearing. That's the normal case. We call it classified. Read the newspapers, follow CNN and other sources, and you'll know almost as much as we'll find out in a classified hearing. But it's nice to get together. It's good to hear the folks try to tell us what's going on.
Congressman, you've said your opinion is that these bunker busters did not do the job of taking out the Fordo nuclear facility. If that is the case, what do you believe has actually been achieved in the process of these strikes and of the last 12 days? And has that been of benefit to the American people?
Well, it remains to be seen exactly what the damage was. If it is significant, it clearly delays the ability of Iran to move forward towards a nuclear weapon. And that's good news. Is it a permanent? No. A permanent really requires negotiations. And I would hope that all of this sets the stage, both Israel's ability to move unimpeded through the air into Iran, as they did prior to these ceasefire. So where do we go from here? I would hope that we go to the negotiating table and develop a good, solid update of the previous Iran nuclear deal, dealing with the parts of that deal that were insufficient. Circumstances have changed. As I say, the entire scene in the Middle East has radically changed over the last 18 months. Hezbollah basically neutered, a new government being installed in Syria as well as Lebanon. And we have the continuing tragedy of Gaza. Again today, civilians killed, and that has to be dealt with. So all of these things have changed. And if indeed Iran is significantly harmed, then what does that mean to the Houthis in Yemen and their ability to continue to rearm and to threaten shipping in the Red Sea and in that region? So there's really a dramatic change over the last 18 months, basically as a result of what Israel has done. And I will constantly say that while they were successful, they've also really committed horrendous damage to civilians in Gaza, unnecessarily in my view. And the United States should have restricted certain weapons to Israel so that they did not have those opportunities to destroy a city block with a single bomb. Nevertheless, it's a dramatic change, and we need to be very aware of that change, take advantage of it, support the new government in Syria, make sure that it is aligned with the
But Congressman, part of the problem, if I can just say, is that Congress has not been involved in a lot of the decisions the Trump administration have made. They certainly weren't involved in the decision to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities. And it's therefore difficult for you to assess what the Trump administration's motivation is. In this instance with Iran, do you believe that their goal was to eliminate the nuclear weapons program or to bring about regime change? Because we've had a lot of mixed messaging on that.
Well, indeed, there has been mixed messaging. Trump says one thing early in the morning. By noon, he's changed it opposite. And in the evening, he's gone back to where he was in the morning. That is creating significant uncertainty about exactly what the American policy is. I've been trying to lay out what I think an appropriate American policy is. Maybe it'll come to pass. I would hope it does. And that if we are agile, and if we take a very careful understanding of the dramatic changes that have occurred over the last 18 months in the region, we have an opportunity to set a completely different stage in the Middle East, working with Saudi Arabia and other semi-allies in the Gulf area. Iran is clearly on its back foot, has clearly been harmed, and its ability to support terrorism in the region has significantly degraded as a result of a new government, Assad no longer running Syria, which was a proxy for Iran, a new government. We ought to be supporting that new government wholeheartedly, stabilizing it, similarly in Lebanon, and recognizing that Iran's ability to support these organizations that were surrogates has significantly declined. And take advantage of that. Get a new nuclear deal in place that provides the necessary safeguards and oversight of what Iran is doing. Removal of the 400 kilos of highly enriched uranium, which actually happened in the previous deal that Obama put together. So we have a pattern, we have a template. We ought to work with that, improve it where it's necessary, and move on. Are the bunker busters the reason for the change? It's a piece of the puzzle. And I think the president could have and should have notified Congress and brought Congress, all of at least the leadership, Democrat and Republican in both houses, into it so that he has support, and so that those of us that say, well, wait a minute, the War Powers Act is insufficient, the various authorizations to use force, many of which date back 30 years, are not appropriate.
There would certainly be reason to do that, Congressman, but he does not have a track record, does he, of reaching for Congress when making these rather momentous decisions. But unfortunately, we are going to have to leave it there. We really appreciate you joining us, though, Congressman Garamendi, and giving us your views. Thank you.
Thank you for your attention.